Hey everyone, Kat here, and welcome to the Ink Swatch Show. I recently posted my video about the Chicago Pen Show and what I purchased, and I happened to share some of the inks that I bought there. So you are in for a treat today, because not only am I going to swatch those inks, I'm going to swatch the inks that I got at the Stationery Fest and Atlas store. I have some ink samples here that I got from my friend B, who lives in Portland, Oregon. And I'm going to ink not one, but two new pens. So stay tuned. I will be using my stamp set from the well-appointed desk. And I have my archival ink, which is acid-free, permanent, and waterproof. And waterproof meaning when I put the ink over it, it won't smear. And I'm just trying to get everything organized here. I've done ink swatching over the years off and on, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to make this beautiful book, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then I end up hating it. When I was first introduced, or I introduced myself to the passport size of the Traveler Company's notebooks, I forget what shop I was shopping in online, and they had a pretty good deal at the time because prices have gone up over the years. So I grabbed one of each. And then I remember I really don't care to use lined paper. I have to use lined paper to take notes in school. So it just reminds me of school. I was going to gift this to someone else, but then I'm like, you know what? Why not just use it for an ink swatch book? So that's what we're going to do today. Another disclaimer, there is no wrong or right way of swatching ink. It's however you want to do it. There are so many different versions of people doing it, so many different ways. When I was at the pen show, I saw like 5 different ways. And I was just sitting at the table with the 300 inks and 5 different people swatching 5 different ways. So what I'm going to do first is take this out, and because these are sample bottles, I'm going to use the sample bottle thing there, and then we'll just pick different bottles for the regular ones. So I want to put out all of the stamps I'm going to use. So I'm going to use this one. I do like the pen ink date one a lot more than the brand ink one. This is very, very flexible that they decided to print it on. So you have to be really careful when you push it down, because I haven't gotten perfect little lines yet. So maybe today will be the day. So we're going to have that one. And then we're going to put the sample bottle cartridge. Obviously, we're going to check off sample. We have the sample one. I don't know. I'm going to have to look these up, because a lot of them are just, some of it like Diamine, you know, I know what that is, but like BPC, I have no idea what that means. So I should have probably looked that up before I got started here. So I'm going to write that, and then by having the shading, shimmer, multi-chrome nearby it, then I will be able to go back and try it. And then when we're getting ready for the pens, we will do that one. And I forgot to let you know in the introduction that we will be inking up my Opus. Now that has a broad nib. And I cleaned out these 2 Twisbis, so we might add some ink to those as well. And I like using these cling type of stamps due to the fact that you can see through compared to when you have a wooden stamp. You just have to guesstimate where you're going to place it. And this particular one has these lines going horizontal and vertical, so then you can get it really leveled. Okay. This time I think I'm going to put this down at the, well, I'm going to try to do 2 samples a page. So let's do this maybe in the middle. That's what it looks like. So let's do another one at the bottom of the page. Let's see, this is what sometimes happens when you have a soft type of silicone stamp. It kind of gets all wonky, but that's all right. Now, I could probably get all of this in one go. So I want to put some color on the little cute little sample thing. See how it looks like a sample? I want to put what type of it, which I'm going to have to go back and do after I do my research. Will this fit all the way across? And it does. Oh, beautiful. Now mind you, you do not need a stamp set to do to do swatchings. You don't need anything fancy at all. You don't even need even a dip pen, or not a dip pen, a glass nib pen. You can just use a little toothpick. You can just dip your nib of a pen in the ink. A few years ago, we went to a Renaissance fair, and believe it or not, there was some stationery stuff at the Renaissance fair, and so I purchased the pen just for sampling. So here we go. Alrighty, let's see. First of all, let me see which ones there might be. Oh, cool! I got one from Oblations. There's a store in Oregon called Oblations Press. I used to go there all the time. I really miss it. Okay, this is not one of this. No, that's one of my samples. Okay, so here's a BPC, 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 BPC. Ooh, and a toolbar. All right, so all of these are the same brand, and then these three are not. So you guys are going to go last. So I'm just going to go down the row and see what we have here. Last time what I did is I wrote the brand and the ink color with this, but I think I want it a little different in the sense that in case I can't read it, because one time I did this sample, which I really like, Troublemaker's Hanging Rice, and it spread out due to how much ink was in the grooves on this. So in case I want to purchase this or I want to tell someone about it, if I just write it in plain pen, that way I'll remember it a little better. Now I know I just put the color there, so maybe I'll write something here. So I'm going to keep it in this. This is my newest acquisition from the pen show. It was made from a 3D printer by Cliocraft. She had some really cute ones, but she sold out when I went there Sunday, so I missed out on that. Hopefully maybe I will be able to add to my collection here and get one. Okay, so Burley Wood. Now the cool thing about the glass tip pen is that the ink adheres to the grooves, so you don't have to keep dipping all the time. And then having a holder like this or something like this is really good, because then you don't have to worry and fret that you're going to spill it or try to get the cap right back on before you you're able to do your sample. What is this Burley Wood? And this looks like it's a brown. Now we're going to say that it's the sample. And I can't tell if there's a shimmer or anything to it. So I'm going to say in the brown family. Whoops, do I have to dip again? No. Dip again. Now let's get to the next sample. This one is BPC Zucchini. I think I'm going to do the splatter before I do anything else. Well, that's cool. Looks like it's dark. Okay, this is a sample. I'm going to make some, I know some people make those really cool looking S's. I do not know how to do that, so I just make little E's instead. Ooh, this is really pretty. This is going to be a lot of fun to write with. So far, I am really loving this holder for the samples. Now I'm going to have to set up for the next page. All right, before we move on, I just wanted to bring up the fact that I stopped taping and I used my blow dryer so I could move on to the next page instead of waiting for it to dry naturally. And as you can, I don't know if the camera's going to pick up this, but there's like some green in it, but then I looked up here and there wasn't any green. So fun fact, make sure that it's completely washed off if you use something like this, because obviously even though it looked like it was clean, there must have been some of a green color in the grooves. I also went ahead and I pre-stamped some pages. And here, this is what I'm talking about. They're not the most pretty thing in the book, and then sometimes they turn out really nice of how they're stamped out. And then I did some with the bottles. When I have other samples, then I can fill these out, do the bottles, etc., etc., etc. I realized if I did only 2 per page, like this very first one, it would fill up fast, but I want to get as many in here as possible. That's why the next 2 pages have 3 in it, and I've been trying different ways, like if I do it this way or if I do it that way. And I think actually I like it this way, this page here, compared to the brand and the name. This seems to take up a lot of space, and maybe that's where I am not caring for using the stamps at times. But this I think is really cool, and then I can just write the name near the bottle. Even though I did do that for the bottles, I did the brand and the color. But I think from here on, I will just do it this way. The only time I think I might use the stamp is when it says pen, ink, and date, if I wanted to do that. But I like how this look of just having the little ink bottle and then what it is. Learning some things along the way. All right, we're going on to bottle number 3 of the same brand name. So let's put our BPC. And this one is called Weeping Willow. I think this might have been the one that was on my pen nib, because I did a little preview to see which one this was before filming. So cool splatter. Fill in our cute little bottle here. Yeah, I think this might have been the one that was on my pen for filming, so always make sure it's rinsed off. I don't know if it's because I'm left-handed or it's just because of the way this glass nib was made. Sorry if you don't like scratching noises. I don't like scratching noises either. So that has kind of a brownish but more green look to it, and it might be a shimmering. We will know once I do all these and I look up that brand name. On to the next one. This one is Stellar Bronze, or Interstellar Bronze. Okay, same brand of BPC, and this one is Interstellar Bronze. So I'm just shaking it up just in case it's a shimmer. I think it's going to be a shimmery one. It's very shimmery. Looks shimmery on my on my hand. Oh, that's cool. I don't know if you can see already. I think this is a shimmer. Yep, right there. The light's picking it up. Cool beans. This was a sample. Let's do some drawing with it. Definitely a shimmer. Oh, very nice. Kind of has kind of a day glow green to it. Kind of turned the water day glow green. So while that one dries, we're going to go on to the next one, the last one of this group. And this one is Emerald Fusion. Colored the little sample bottle. Got a lot of it on my pen here, so I'm just going to draw it out. Now, believe it or not, besides using these inks for writing purposes, you can also use them for art purposes and paint with them. There's a lot of people I know that do that. This one looks like it's another type of shimmery, so we'll have to wait and see. But that's really pretty too. I don't know if the camera's picking that up. Kind of for reflection. That's why it looks like a shimmer. I'm going to just do a little more right here. And just to make sure it did not pick up the Stellar one, I'm going to do it on another piece of paper. Here, let's use the back of this just to see. Just to make sure that it wasn't picking that up. Nope, I still see shimmer in it, so yeah. See, there's still a shimmer in it, so just wanted to make sure. Okay, let's go to our next one, which is Lemon Toolbar Getting Better. Lennon Tool Bar. And this is a sample. Yeah, see, this one has a little too much ink on it. I'm not an expert of the pigments and everything, but this one, it doesn't seem like you need to dip it very far. The other one, I had to dip it a little farther. This is what I'm talking about, how the nib picks up the ink. It's very, I guess you'd call juicy. Spread some of it out. Yeah, it's very, very juicy. Looks like it's in the brown family. We'll see how that dries up. Okay, the next one is Diamine. Write that right here. Terracotta. I think I've had this one before. I've had a couple terracottas. Reminds me of the desert. Put some in the little bottle. This was a sample. And we'll just kind of turn this and do some squigglies this way. That's pretty. The last sample is Oblation Portland Rain. So this must have been a ink that they got made just for their shop. I'm going to put PDX for Portland, and the color is Rain. Yes, it does rain in Portland. It does rain a lot, but it doesn't rain all the time. I think that's the misconception that people have of Portland. A lot of gloomy days, but nothing like horrible, horrible. This looks like this is going to be maybe purplish. Yeah, and a sample. And let's do some swirly whirlies. Guess maybe it's time to invest in a different type of nib for sampling. Yep, it looks like a purple to it, and then also looks like it's a little grayish. Just like what I just said, grayish skies. Let's get some of the swatching for the bottled ink. Now this one has 3 on it, so I think I'm going to do the ones from Amarillo Stationery. And these are 3 of the 4 that Eric sells. These are the ones that I really liked. Now I love having sample holders here. What I need now, and they probably make it, so let me know down below if you have one, like a holder for your bottle while you're doing swatching and stuff. Wish you could see it from this angle. You could totally see the teal going on here. And since I already opened it up, I'm going to do that part, and then we'll write the name of it and everything. Oh, this is so pretty. Oh, I like it. Teal used to be my go-to color in high school. I'm just gonna use my dropper. Isn't that kind of pretty? Washing, when I wipe off the pen, you can let this dry and then you can use that as a background in your journal. Just saying. Okay, I'm gonna just use this side of it. Very, very pretty. And this color is teal waistband. Next up is Yuri's Kicks. Sorry, Eric, if I am mispronouncing that word. I don't have very many reddish inks, so I'm looking forward to using this one. Ooh, it's more like looks like more of a burnt orange. It's very pretty. Ugh, can't stand that sound. Definitely time for an upgrade of my swatching nib. Okay. Once it dries, it will probably look a little different. And the last one I have of his, and this is the one I got at the Stationery Fest in March, and it's called Toasty Joggers. Right now, the samples that I just did, B asked me which colors do I like and stuff, and I told her I like browns and goldens and green. So that's why you saw so many of those colors. And now that's why you're seeing it again with this brand. And these bottles are, how much are in them again? I think 30. Yeah, 30 mLs. So plenty to use and plenty to share. Probably passed a little of this on to someone else that might want to try them out. And sometimes I like just getting samples because that's just enough of that ink for you to write with. At times I get bored very easily with different inks, even though I don't have a lot of them, and then I have to change it out again. So if you just get samples, like I know Anderson Pen and Yoseka does that. I wish Atlas would do that. That would be a lot of fun to sample a lot of their inks. Okay, so this is brown with yellow tones to it. Very, very nice. Okay, the next one I'm going to do is Anderillium's Flapjack Octopus Orange from Tampa, Florida. And I think they're quite unique in the sense that they use kind of a jelly jar for their inks. It's my first time opening it up. I have a wide mouth jar here. Put a little on the jar part first. This is the one I really liked when I swatched it at the pen show. And this is 1.5 ounces. So plenty, plenty, plenty to share with friends. I'm gonna have to look up the reasons of them using this type of jar compared to the traditional jars that are used in the industry. So far I like it. It looks like it has red undertones to it. And the next one is Colorverse. This is their special pen show edition for the Chicago, and it's called Windy City Blue. This is 30 mLs. I do have another one of the same brand called Delicious Sleep. It's a lovely violet dark purple color. Well, this definitely, I can see on the side. I don't use a lot of blue inks, but this one definitely, you can tell it's a Chicago blue. Okay, I'm going to write this first so I don't smear it later. They're one of my favorite brands. Okay, here we go. Ooh, it's coming out dark. It's just something different to do. Kind of spread it out. It's a darker blue, so I might use it a lot more than a brighter blue. Bright blues remind me of the horrible Bic pens that we had to use growing up. And being left-handed, I would come home with smears all up and down my hand. Okay, very pretty. Now we are on to the other linen bar, and this is 30 mLs. So very interesting. 30 ml, 30 ml, 30 ml. Isn't that interesting how different style jars can hold the same amount of liquid? Okay, this is dried Logan. This is a really pretty light colored brown. I've swatched this already, so I can tell you about it a little. It kind of goes on dark, but it does dry light. That's what I've noticed. I've had it in a pen already. So if you don't mind light colored ink, then this would be definitely one for you. Okay, then we have Tom's Studio number 7, which is known as Mallard. He does a lot of his inks, colors. He names them after birds. This is a brand that's in the UK. This one's 50 ml. 50 ml. Average bottle usually is 30. This is a Mambo Pombo. Huge jar. See, something like this would be great to have as samples. So let's get some down here. Seems to be a very dark blue. There. I soaked a little of it up so you can see there's kind of some greens in it and dark blueness in it. Alrighty, so that is it for the samples and for the bottles that I have. And I'm going to clean up and then we'll come back and we're going to ink our pens. Okay, the first one we're going to ink up is my new Twisbi. And this was very, very, very popular a couple months ago. And I waited too long for the first round. Atlas sold out very quickly. And so I waited, and they have a thing on their website when you like something, they have a space for you to put your email, and then when it's back in stock, they will let you know. And so they let me know, and I purchased it. This one I got is a 1.1. So I tried it in the store. They had a sample of that nib for the Twisbi, and so I decided to get that one instead of, it was this or the broad. So I thought I would try this. I have a friend that has one of this one, and she says it writes like a broad nib. So if you're not familiar on how to ink this up, I'm going to put my dry Logan in it. And what you do is that of all the websites, I think JetPen does a fabulous job of showing you how to do this. Kind of a sucker plunging thing that goes down and up and down. So you twist it one way to bring the plunger all the way to the bottom of it. And then you have to get your nib into the ink, and then you slowly bring it back up, and it should bring the ink back into the body of the pen. When you have a larger thing of ink, it usually will work a little better. Sometimes you have to like angle it too, since this has never been filled before. There we go. Now it's working. Then you just dry it off. Make sure you cap your ink, how you do it. And then I did do some of these, and this is what I'm talking about. It kind of like wobbly when you use that stamp, because I think it's because instead of a solid line, it's a little dotted line, so it moves around a little quicker. Or I mean more. So I just put the 1.1 nib here so I'll know what it is. And then I'm just going to say Twisbi. And then maybe I'll just color the try to get the ink through the feeders. There we go. So I know people hold their pen that way. Some people will hold their pen at an angle this way. So the 1.1, as you can tell, depending on which way you move the pen, makes it broader and thinner. So that was one reason I got it. And I purchased this one with this particular nib compared to the next one that I'm going to fill up, is that I tried their nib of the 1.1 and it didn't work for me. So that's why I stuck with the broad nib. So that is, now it's filled with the brown ink. I am ready to use it. So this is the infamous espresso one that was going viral a couple months ago. There's a lighter colored one, and then there's a white one that people match up with it. I didn't care for the white one. And the light colored one, I didn't care for either. So I waited to see it in person to make sure I liked it. I do like this particular brown. So right now I'm just going to put it back in the box because I'm waiting for my new pen holder to come in the mail. Then I will be able to use that. Here's the next one. Let's move this out of the way. I introduced you in the Chicago Pen Show. This is Miss Opal from the Hardy Penwright. They are located in New York. And this is handcrafted. And I named her Miss Opal because of the iridescence. It looks like an opal stone. And if you haven't watched that video yet, just real quickly, this is made out of silver and they put it right here to do this. So it won't roll away on your desk. They call it like the stopper. So that way or this way. And it doesn't fit on the pen. This particular pen is not set up compared to like what you just saw in the Twisbi. So this one comes with a converter. And what I like to do, and it gets messy, but usually I'll take the converter off and put this in the ink bottle and then clean it up. But I want to see if I can, let's see what type of converter is this. Okay, this is like a plunge one too, like the other one. So to me, that's the easiest way instead of putting the nib in there. So I'm going to do it for this one too. Let's see. I really like the green. Let's do that emerald green one. So it's the one that we just swatched earlier, the BPC Emerald Fusion. I already screwed down the thing here, so then it's just kind of like a suction thing again. You put it down in the ink. This is so much nicer. This is the first time I'm using my holder for a sample. So much nicer than trying to play a balancing act. See, because now I can put this to the side and then safely put the cap back on and move this out of the way. So I'm so glad I got that. That'd been cool if she made the bigger one like in an ice cream boat. Probably takes too much plastic, but I really like that one. Now we're going to put this back in. It should just click, and then you just carefully screw the back into the body. Make sure you don't cross thread it. Okay, and this is a broad nib, and it has this is their little signature look. So on their nib carved in it. I didn't realize that carving into the nibs and stuff was a thing until I saw the Chicago Pen one or Bean one. So that's a whole different animal, I think, of having pens that have cool looking nibs. This one is the Traveler. This is the first time using it. Okay, so I'm glad that we're learning this together. So sometimes what I do when I have a converter, and don't come after me if this is not how you do it. Remember, we all have our own ways of doing things. What I'll do is I'll just screw it down just a little to kind of get that pressure going. Some of the ink going down into the feeders. And then sometimes it'll drip out on the paper. That's why I did it that way. Or I'll go like this onto a paper towel to kind of feed it down. Those green spots, that's the ink. Okay, let's try it again. We might just have to do some practice things here. Or if that doesn't work, because I did get the air bubble out. Let's bring it back. Sometimes what I'll do is I will dip the nib, and that sometimes just kind of makes a connection, and then all of a sudden the ink will start flowing. So let's try this. Remember, this is a very fresh, brand new nib. I'm going to wipe it off and see if it can do it by itself. Okay, this is the Traveler. And this ink is the BPC Emerald Fusion. And then today's date is the 11th. Now, this, I have a couple other broad nibs. What focus on there? There we go. But this one is really bulbous and it writes so smoothly. It just glides across the paper. So once again, depending on how you hold your pen, I'm barely pushing down. This is going to be a lot of fun to work with. And what I really like about this brand is it's very lightweight. It's balanced right here. Once I filled it full of ink, because all the ones you hold, are empty. And then when they allowed me to try their personal pens that had the different nibs, to see which one I liked, you could tell there's a balance, and it's just a nice balance. I don't like my pens too heavy, so I'm very impressed with that, and I really, really, really like how it writes. So let's go, and I always like writing hello. And as you can tell, that Emerald Fusion has that cool sheen to it. I'm gonna wipe this off. Because of the sheened ink I'm using, I have to make sure I use it and rinse it out a lot more than my other ones I do. My Twisbis, I don't rinse them out as much as I probably should. Okay, I'm putting this one back. Okay, and then we have one more that I'm going to ink. Even though I said I only had 2 in the intro to ink. This is an Opus 88. I'm going to get close to the camera so you can see it. And this is a brand new nib also. Kirk of Pen Realm put it on for me. This one's a little different. You twist the top off like this. Comes into 2 parts. And it came with this little plunger thingy. You fill it up this way. I think I just saw another use for this. Yes. Check that out. It can hold the pen while you tidy up the other stuff so it doesn't spill over. Okay, I got some of it on the feeder part there. I don't want it to dry. Fuse to it. Okay, there we go. All right, so then you just carefully screw this back on and you're good to go. And I found 2 uses for that. All right, so this particular one, when I got it, I looked it up and everything. There's this right here, and when you're using it, you untwist it just a little, and I think it's kind of like a vacuum. Oops, there we go. You twist this a little when you're using it. It's kind of like a vacuum seal, and it will let the ink flow a little better. And then when you're not using it, you just twist it back up. This is more of a tiny pen. Yes, you can put the cap on, but it falls off a lot. And so it's tiny. It rests barely like by your first knuckle here, but it's cute. And now that it has this nib, I'm hoping I'll be able to use it a lot more. So let's see what we can write with it right away. Okay, it's not doing that again, so let's do what we did before. I'll make sure I spell it right. I might just have to dip it in the water. A lady gave me that hint at the show. Here we go. Maybe it'll work now. And it's coming out green because I did dip it in another color. So that's the reason why. So we're going to have to work with it a little to get that out of the feeds. Okay. So that's why it looks a little greeny, but we know it's not green. We know it's blue in there. So I'm going to rinse it off and see if that helps a little. So we're all learning here. And that's a potent green that was in there. I thought I got it all out. Okay, well we know what this looks like because we worked with it over here. Okay, so that's what it looks like. This is what's happening here. Sometimes if you don't rinse it off and you put one ink to another ink, this is what happens. And I personally don't mind it because then it's kind of like this cool color type of combo. I have a hard time gripping this because of the short body. I like longer body pens. So anyways, this is what the Opus 88 looks like. On a broad nib. Okay, that is it for me. All right, that's it for me. Thank you so much for joining me today and swatching these inks and filling the pens. And till the next one, bye.